Here's a little known fact about the heart transplant surgery itself that honestly, when I learned it back several years ago, just before my transplant, it made me so much more confident as well as comfortable with the surgery itself. And that is basically that, contrary to popular belief, toward the end of your surgery, as the surgeons were completing all those connections, they more than likely did not, I say not, have to shock or defibrillate your heart in order to get it started. And I would assume back, say, 5-6 years ago, as I was getting closer and closer to transplant surgery, it was always my assumption, as well as the assumption of most, that basically during the surgery they were going to go in, open your chest up, take your heart out, as I used to say, toss it in a garbage can, put a new one in, and then shock it or defibrillate it back into beating like you would an old car trying to jump it off. But that is absolutely not the case. As a matter of fact, the way the hearts are stopped to begin with in order to do this surgery is by cooling the heart through that bypass system, but by cooling the heart and pulling away the blood flow in order so that heart may stop. And the heart that's waiting there beside you, if it were not cooled with a solution of basically a high potassium mix, it within itself could even be beating on the table. But that doesn't happen because they keep it cool, and of course it doesn't have the oxygenated blood going to it at the time when it's being delivered that it really needs. However, once it's put inside of your chest, once the major parts of those connections are made, even the smallest amount of blood flow that's restored as they begin to pull off the forceps and open up those arteries and vessels again, even the smallest amount of blood flow being restored will oftentimes, and more times than not, cause a generally healthy heart to start to beat again. Now, in the beginning, the beat is faint. It can be visually seen or even measured on an EKG or whatever type machine. But toward about 2 or 3 minutes in, generally speaking, the beating becomes so vigorous that it can very, very easily be visually seen inside of the chest. And the doctors see that, and that's one of the markers of knowing that they've given you a healthy heart, one that's going to last for many, many years. Now, the misconception, again, being that some people believed, as well as I did back years ago, that they would have to jumpstart that heart to get it going. But that's not the case, even though you may have seen some heart surgeries where they would reach in with those defibrillator paddles, put them directly onto the heart, and jump it off, so it seemed. Really what they were doing at the time, however, was taking a heart that was already beating, again, because of that restored blood flow, because it had worn back into total body or room temperature at least, and they were actually defibrillating it in order to get it back into what they would call a sinus or a normal rhythm. So basically, if your heart starts on its own, that's a wonderful sign. And if it was to be shocked after that, it was most likely only and only to get that heart back into rhythm. Now, that fact within itself, again, made me so much more confident and comfortable with the procedure in knowing that God's great creation was capable of doing that and that it was really going to work. Now, if this has encouraged you in any way, how about go ahead and like, subscribe, and share this channel, and I'm going to continue to bring you great educational type motivational tips each and every week, several times a week, to help you out. Thank you for being a part of the community. Until next time, stay stronger, friends.